Hello and welcome to the Visionless Science YouTube channel, the channel where you get to see all the things I can't. So today we'll be doing a review of my Festool FS guide rails. I've got two of them down here. Don't know what really you can say about two sheets of metal, but they are actually very, very handy for using around the workshop. The purpose I've got for these is for my Festool HK85 circular saw and my 2200G router. Right, so here I've got my HK85 circular saw with the fence attached to it. So you got this big chunky thing here, which is quite a big beast of a fence. Obviously you're cutting from here to there, but it does very heavily rely on this, whatever is on this edge, being straight. If you've got any bows in the wood or whatnot that you're cutting, then it's going to follow whatever it is and can start throwing things off. And even, depending on what you're doing, you could start bending the blade if you're trying to keep straight with this. So also that's a large area it would need to take up. So it's something to consider with these. When it comes to the guide rails, on the other hand, as you can see here, you can place them pretty much anywhere you want. And then put them in, and we'll slide along there. So this is beneficial in a lot of ways, as it means that you always know wherever this strip along here is, that is where your cut is going to be. So if you've got lines on your piece that you're cutting, you can butt that up to it and you know that that's going to cut along there. So you don't need to worry about the other side having straight edge or not. Right, so in order for it to stay in position when in use, on the underside of it, you have these two foam strips here. I have actually on my other set put a third one just on the other side of the Splinter Guard, which is this bit part here. Flip that over. You can see it there. The Splinter Guard is supposed to stop the wood from splintering out and give a cleaner cut. Haven't really noticed much difference with that, if I'm honest. But as I said earlier, the thing I like this for the most is ensuring that where I'm cutting, it's always along that line there. One thing that you will need to realise when you first buy these, and I didn't realise, is the strip is actually sticks out further than your tools that you put on it. So if I put this on here, hopefully you can see this. There's the saw. Drop the saw down. You see it's touching the top of the Splinter Guard there. So that is intentional. It's when you first use this, it ensures that the Splinter Guard is always as close to the saw as it possibly can be. So yeah, first thing you need to do is obviously plunge cut down into it to trim your strip to the right size. Right, so one very important thing, again, which I wish I knew about the Festool tools when it comes to the guide rails, is they all have an adjuster on them. So see this part here, you adjust this using some screws on the side here to make sure that when you're sliding it along the guide rail, there is no sideways movement. It took me several months before it got pointed out to me that there is an adjustment to always make sure that they run true, so if you have to redo a cut, it always matches up and stays straight. It also prevents you from wearing down the Splinter Guard unnecessarily as well. The worst thing I've actually found for wearing the Splinter Guard down has been the router. Trying to get that put in the right place. Obviously, when I hadn't adjusted this part on the router, we get it butted up, turn it on, and then it's moved slightly and start cutting away the Splinter Guard slowly. So yeah, always make sure, get that adjustment sorted, and you'll find it a lot better. Right, so I've got the guide rail on my workmate here. We'll get the strip cut down now. Obviously, as I said earlier, it's got the strips on it to stop it moving, but it also has the ability to add clamps to it, like these here, which go down this groove here. And just this bit on now. Where's that slot? Here we go. There we go. Oh, that's on there, nice and solid and not moving. Right, so I've got my circular saw here now. Right, so usually the way you put it in is you put it in this on back here, and then you lift up the guard and then click in. It took me quite a while to figure that out, because if you try doing it without it, it just won't go, because the guard stops it from going down. So make sure that's lifted, and then it'll drop down. I'm going to take that back. One very important thing to note when doing this: you want as much on the guide rail as you can when doing a cut. As soon as you start getting out too far, it gets wobbly. There you go, no wobble. So something to show, because you can end up cutting your rail. I'll show you in a bit what I've done to mine. For now, we'll get this done. Go in here, just to get that cut. Right, so now I've got that done, if I drop this down, whoop, there you go, you can see that is now perfectly flush with that, which makes the accuracy of this a hell of a lot better, because you always know that the edge there, that is where the cut is going to be. As I said earlier, why you've got to be careful with them. Whoop, here's the injured sole. Whoop. So as you can see here, whoop. I think this was with the router. If you don't get it right, it will wobble and then cut into it. I think one of my other guide rails has a much deeper cut in it. It's only a small area. Yeah, so you always want to make sure you've got as much on it as you can, so it doesn't wobble and start taking chunks out like that. Because some of these chunks have thrown me off quite a bit. Right, so one thing that is obviously beneficial with guide rails, no matter what brand you go with, is the ability to join them all together. Use something like these joiner bars here. They just slide into the grooves, and you put them halfway between each one, and then you lock them down. With the Festool ones anyway, they have a Allen key socket, screw 2 on each side to keep it tight. When I first got these, I didn't bother tightening them up, because I figured, oh, they're fine as they are. I'd recommend against that. Have an Allen key to hand and actually tighten them up, because it keeps the rails tightly together and keeps things a lot more accurate. The other thing that I got told when I bought these by the shop assistant is you only need one of them to join the guide rails together. I'll show you how that goes now. Here's one already attached to the side. Slide that in. Okay, that's in. And then quite a bit of wobble and movement there. I'm going to take you out. Put this one in. If I can find the hole. There we go. There. There. There we go. You can see nowhere near as much movement. Obviously I haven't tightened that up yet. A big note with these, I've buttered them, put them in, got them buttered up to each other. You can't rely on that to be straight. It's a big mistake I was making. I was thinking, oh, they're buttered up together, I'll tighten them up, it's straight. No. Make sure that you get a straight edge, a quite long straight edge, to go on the back side, overlapping these two. Get it buttered up to that, and then tighten them up, because these can be slightly off, and that can cause you to have slight bows and dips when you're making a long cut. It's actually because of this that I wish I'd bought a longer guide rail. I've currently got the 800mm version and the 1400mm version. When I was originally looking them up, I was like, oh, you could buy 5 of the 1.4s for the price of one 1.3. 1.4. Oh my god, I got that wrong. 5 1.4s for the price of one 3-meter rail. But the 3-meter rail, you don't have to worry about this accuracy and flexing, because it's just one long solid piece. So it's again, grab the parts, the rails that you're more likely to use. For occasional use, these are fine, but you want to go as long as you can for what you need to do regularly. Right, so as I mentioned earlier, you can have accessories to put in the slots. Obviously, the one slot is for the clamps, but then you can put things like this here. This is the kickback stop. I don't actually have trouble with kickback on the router and the circular saw too much. What I actually like using these for is as a guide, if I have 2 of them, as to where I need to route with the router. So just slides on the back. There we go, like that. And screw it down in where I want it to stop, and then actually made this here. That costs about £15. This is just over 15p. Not quite as fancy, but does the job. And then I can just put that there, put it up, and then I can route within that area, or wherever I want to put it. I can just slide these along. I know that within that area, that is where I'll be doing any routing. Right, so that's my review of the Festool guide rails. Yeah, they're great. I wouldn't like to be using my tools without them. Yeah, not really much more to say on that. They're great. Do wish I'd gone for a longer rail. I'll probably buy one at some point. As I said earlier, it is like 5 times the price of the ones I've got here. But for that extra peace of mind to ensure that what I'm doing is straight, if you want to make sure, if accuracy is your primary concern, definitely get as long as you can. I hope this video has been helpful in any case. Please check out the website visionlessscience.com, where you find all the products I sell, and as well as links to Instagram, Facebook and Etsy. Links down below. I hope to see you in future videos.